Welcome to the 2021 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday, June 29th, 2021 edition. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and your support is much appreciated for the pure 100% true financial news for the United States and beyond. I hope everyone had a great day today for the most part. And staying cool during the heat wave that currently 2/3 of the United States is experiencing, at least through the middle of this week. And then later on, we'll get a cool down as some rain and storms come through on Friday and Thursday later on this week. It's a little weather report. But today, we're here to talk about the main news, and that's about home prices surging. The government is getting in backed up, trying to get power to reverse Bitcoin and cryptos and the crackdown on it to basically squash it out. Any alternative to the U.S. dollar, which is still falling, and the Fed is behind on inflation. So we're going to be talking about those three things briefly today on today's episode here. It's always good to have a plan. A man or a woman who fails to plans, it's doomed. And so we like to stress have a plan, whether it's just on a piece of paper, on your iPad, or any type of thing. You can keep it in thumb drive. Having a plan is better than no plan at all, whether that's a bug out plan, a bug in plan, or perhaps you are not going to do either of those. Perhaps you are going to just keep prepper supplies at your place, and that's fine too. So we're getting into it here. Let me just switch over here to the home prices here. CNBC is reporting that home prices surged in April at a truly extraordinary rate. S&P's Case Shiller says. Home prices annual gain of 14.6% up. That's up from 13.3% increase in March. Of course, the largest cities and the 10 city composite index was up 14.4%, and that's no surprise. Home prices have been going up tremendously. The average price of a new home was around $360,000, $365,000 for nationwide for a new single-family home. Rents have been increasing in some of those cities, but not in the cities where the mass exoduses have been occurring, like San Francisco, New York, Detroit, Houston. Those cities have experienced mass exodus because of the crime and also the high cost of living. But 5 cities, Charlotte, North Carolina, Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, and Seattle, saw the largest annual gains ever in housing index. And so this is leading up into the crash. As we said, the housing market is coming up to the top of the roller coaster here, to the peak here throughout the summer months. And then after that, in the fall, all bets are off, and it'll start cooling down as we head toward 2022. And so this is just what we predicted. We've been telling you that price gains have been expanding for the last 11 months. Buyer demand continues to outstrip supply. Most of the buyer demand is really hedge funds coming in and buying up these blocks and tracts of homes and subdivisions, and that's why it's been lifting the sales so far. There's been some individual buyers, but they're not putting down cash $100,000 above asking price. That's mostly hedge funds like BlackRock and all these other groups. Okay. Government must have a power to reverse crypto transactions, says co-chair of Blockchain Caucus. Illinois Democrat says many in Congress see Bitcoin's users as de facto participant in a criminal conspiracy. When Bitcoin first came out, they were saying they were using it people were using Bitcoin for nefarious activities, illegal and stuff like that. However, the same can be said about cash, and that's why they're going to ban cash and get rid of cash and go to a government-backed digital coin because cash obviously can be counterfeited no matter how many stripes or watermarks they put on it, and it's been used for nefarious purposes, money laundering in these banks and all kind of offshore accounts. And so really, in many ways, Bitcoin and cash are the same in that sense. But the only thing that separates Bitcoin from the cash is that Bitcoin is only 21 million of them. It's a finite supply, whereas cash, they keep printing up these $1 trillion bills every 5 minutes, and it becomes more and more devalued every single day. And so Bitcoin does have that advantage over cash. And also, a lot of the developing countries like Venezuela and Brazil and other countries, they're starting to adopt Bitcoin because they want to get away from the system, to get under the dollar. And so in that sense, it's very good. So, but just to know that the government is going to come and restrict usage of it from China to the UK. They're going to restrict usage of Coinbase and these other exchanges. And that's no surprise. No competition to the dollar is to be allowed. And we're not surprised there, but just know that bartering and those things are going to come for us anyway. So we got to be prepared to barter and use alternative means, because the dollar is going to be worthless anyway, just like Weimar Germany. And on top of that, El Arian, this guy is a pretty respected economist. Mohammed El Arian, he's a pretty respected economist. I like listening to him sometimes, what he has to say. He says the Fed is behind on inflation and risk another recession if it's forced to catch up. Well, remember last couple of videos I was telling you about we're behind on inflation, that they say the official numbers is 5.4% for the inflation. That's double from the 2-3% that we had. But the real number of inflation, according to shadowstats.com, is 12% inflation. That's what we're seeing on the streets. Now the media is trying to report, oh, they're behind on inflation, risk another recession. Change that word recession to depression. The definition of a depression is 2 back-to-back recessions. So we would be in a depression if the Federal Reserve Bank is forced to catch up. And they're going to be forced to catch up. Like I told you, inflation is going to be 10%. For the official numbers now, it's going to be 10% by the end of this year. We're going to have stagflation. The economy is going down. And of course, with the housing crash and the credit crash coming, it's going to be an absolutely devastating concerns for many people in America. But that's okay. The good news is we have time to prepare. We have about another 1.5 to 2 years to prepare. But after the midterms 2022 and after whatever else is coming, any other black swan events, like I said, that lockdown, the second lockdown is coming because of this Delta variant. So be prepared for that sometime around August or September. And then we still have the cyber threat. If there's another, say if there's a blackout or a brownout or something like that, that may come during this summer sometime. So that's what I would prepare everyone, tell everyone to get encouraged. If you can continue to get solar generators or a real generator that can pull energy, get it while you can this summer. Because you will experience, some of us in the country will experience those blackouts and brownouts, guaranteed. And also, excuse me, in terms of food costs, of course, limit your food costs. You know that they've been building a lot of discount food centers, which is awesome, like Aldi's and Lidl's and all these different stores. That's awesome. Continue to shop there, get what you need, and continue to cut back on those numbers as well, because inflation is here to stay. It's not transitory. It's here to stay throughout this year and the remainder of 2022. And Biden has already said, by the way, guys, that he's going to be pushing for more spending in the fall. And this spending is going to come from you and I, the taxpayers, for the infrastructure bill. I believe it's $1.9 trillion, and the American Rescue Families Plan with the child tax credit. So all of that's coming this fall from August to the end of the year. And that's really going to make prices stick and go up for gasoline and for other things as well. So be prepared, stay prepared. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Thank you for listening today, and leave any comments or questions or any suggestions you want to have for the future videos down in the comments, and I'll be sure to get back with you then. Be blessed. Talk to you soon.